A'udhu billahi minashaitani rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Abraham, peace be upon him, left Egypt, accompanied by his nephew, Lot, peace be upon him, who then went to the city of Sodom, which was by the western shore of the Dead Sea. The city was filled with evil. Its residents waylaid, robbed, and killed travelers. Yet the common evil amongst them is that men were having sex with men instead of with women. This unnatural act later became known as sodomy, after the city Sodom. It was practiced openly and unashamedly. It was at the height of these crimes and sins that Allah revealed to Lot, peace be upon him, that he should summon the people to give up their indecent behaviors. The people were deeply sunk in their immoral habits that they became deaf to Lot's preaching. Swamped in their unnatural desires, they refused to listen even after Lot warned them of Allah's punishment. They instead threatened to drive him out of the city if he continued to preach. Allah the Almighty revealed in Surah Ash-Shura from verses 160 to 171. The people of Lot, those that dwelt in the cities of Sodom in Palestine, belied the messengers. When their brother Lot said, "Will you not fear Allah and obey him? Verily, I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So fear Allah, keep your duty to him, and obey me. No reward do I ask you for it. My message of Islamic monotheism. My reward is only from the Lord of the Alamin, meaning mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Go you in unto the male of the Alamin, meaning mankind, and leave those whom Allah has created to be your wives. Nay, you are a transgressing people." They said, "If you cease not, O Lord, verily you will be one of those who are driven out." Lot said, "Indeed, I am of those who disapprove with severe anger and fury your action," meaning this evil of Sodom. "My Lord, save me and my family from what they do." We saved him and his family, except an old woman, meaning his wife, among those who remained behind. The doings of Lot's people saddened his heart. Their unwholesome reputation spread throughout the land as he struggled amongst them. As years passed by, he persisted in his mission to no avail. No one responded to his call or believed in him except the members of his family. But even in his household, not everybody was a believer. Lot's wife, like Noah's wife, was a disbeliever. Allah the Almighty declared in the Quran, Allah set forth an example for those who disbelieve. The wife of Noah and the wife of Lot. They were under two of our righteous slaves, but they betrayed their husbands by rejecting their doctrines. Lot and Noah benefited them not against Allah, meaning their wives. And it was said, "Enter the fire with those that enter." And that's in Surah At-Tahrim in verses 10. If home is a place of comfort and rest, then Lot found none, for he was tormented both inside and outside his home. His life was a continuous torture, and he suffered greatly. But as years passed by, he remained steadfast and patient with his people. Nobody still believed in him after that time, but instead they belittled his message and mockingly challenged him. "Bring Allah's torment upon us if you are one of those who are truthful." His people said, that's in Surah Ankabut in verses 29. Overwhelmed with despair, Lot prayed to Allah to grant him victory and to destroy the corrupt. Thereafter, the angels left Abraham, peace be upon him, and headed for Sodom, the city of Lot, peace be upon him. The angels reached the town's walls in the afternoon, and the first person to see them was Lot's daughter, who was seated by the river, filling up her jug with water. When she lifted up her face and saw them, she was stunned, that there could be men of such magnificent beauty on earth. One of the three men, the angels, asked Lot's daughter, "O maiden, is there a place to rest?" Remembering the character of her people, she said, "Stay here and do not enter until I inform my father and return." So she left her jug by the river and swiftly ran home. "O father," she cried, "you are wanted by young men by the town's gate, and never before have I seen the like of their faces." Lot was filled with distress as he ran to his guests. He asked them where they were coming from and where they were heading. The angels did not respond to Lot's questions, but they instead asked if he could host them. So he started talking with them, and he impressed upon them the nature of his people. Lot was filled with turmoil, and he tried to talk to his guests to convince them without offending them not to spend the night there. But he also at the same time wanted to extend to them the hospitality that is normally accorded to guests. In vain, he tried to make them understand the hilarious situation, and at last he requested them that they should wait until the night fell so that nobody saw them. When darkness fell on the city, Lot escorted his guests to his house. Nobody was aware of their presence. However, when Lot's wife saw Lot and his guests, she quickly and quietly ran outside the house that nobody noticed her, and she took the news of the arrival of the young men to her people. So the news spread throughout the whole inhabitants like wildfire. The people rushed to Lot quickly and excitedly. Lot was surprised at the discovery of his guests, and he wondered who informed the people about his guests. But the matter was clear when Lot could not find his wife anywhere, thus adding sorrow to his grief. When Lot saw the mob approaching his house, he shut the door. But the people continued to bang on the door. Lot pleaded with them to leave his guests alone and to fear Allah's punishment. And he urged them to seek sexual fulfillment with their wives, as that's what Allah had made lawful. The people waited until Lot finished his sermon, and thereafter they roared with laughter. So blinded by passion, they broke the door down. Lot became very angry, but he stood powerless before this violent mob. He could not avoid the abuse of his guests, but he stood his ground and he continued to plead with the mob. Seeing him at this terrible moment, seeing him in this state, he wished that he had the power to push the mob away from his guests. So seeing him in this state of helplessness and grief, his guests said, "Do not be anxious or frightened, Lot, for we are angels, and these people will not harm you." On hearing this, the mob fled. They were terrified and fled Lot's house at that same time, hurling threats at him as they left. The angels warned Lot that he should leave before sunrise, taking all his family except his wife. Allah had decreed for the city of Sodom to be destroyed. The earthquake rocked the town. It's as though the mighty power had lifted the city up and flung it down in one jolt. A storm of stones rained on the city of Sodom, killing everything and destroying everything, including Lot's wife. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala related the story in Surah Al-Hijr from verses 51 to 77. And tell them about the guests of Abraham when they entered unto him and said, Salam, which means peace. Abraham said, Indeed, we are afraid of you. The angel said, Do not be afraid. We give you glad tidings of a boy, meaning a son, possessing much knowledge and wisdom. Abraham said, Do you give me glad tidings of a boy when old age has overtaken me? Of what then is your news? The angel said, We give you glad tidings in truth, so be not of the despairing. Abraham said, And who despairs of the mercy of his Lord except those who are astray? Abraham again asked the angels, What then is the news on what then is the business on which you have come, O messengers? They said, We have been sent to the people who are the mujrimin, meaning the sinners, the polytheists, the disbelievers, all except the family of Lot. Them all, surely we are going to save from the destruction, except his wife, of whom we have decreed shall be among those who shall remain behind, meaning will be destroyed. Then when the messengers, meaning the angels, came unto the family of Lot, he said, Verily you are people unknown to me. The angel said, Nay, we have come with a torment of which they have been doubting, and we have brought to you the truth, meaning the news of the destruction of your nation, and certainly we tell the truth. Then travel a part of the night with your family, and go behind them in the rear, and let no one amongst you look back, but go to where you are commanded. And we made known this decree to him, that the root of those, meaning the sinners, was to be cut off in the early morning. The inhabitants of the city came rejoicing, meaning at the arrival of the young men. And Lot said, Verily, these are my guests, and shame me not, and fear Allah and disgrace me not. The people of the city said, Did we not forbid you to entertain or protect any of the Alamin, meaning strangers, people, or foreigners, from us? Lot said, These, meaning the girls of this nation, are my daughters to marry lawfully if you must act. Allah continues to say, Verily, by your life, O Muhammad, in their wild intoxication, they were wandering blindly. So the asaliha, meaning the torment or the awful cry, overtook them at the time of sunrise. And we turned the cities of Sodom in Palestine upside down, and we rained on them stones of baked clay. Surely in these are signs for those who see, meaning those who understand or learn from the lessons of the signs of Allah. And verily they, meaning the cities, are right on the high road, which is from Mecca to Syria, and that's where the place where the Dead Sea is. Surely therein is a sign for those who believe. These verses are found in Surah Al-Hijr from verses 51 to verses 77. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared also in Surah Ash-Shura from verses 170 to 175, we saved him, meaning Lot, and his family, except an old woman, meaning his wife, among those who remained behind. Thereafter we destroyed the others, and we rained on them a rain of torment. How evil was the rain of those who had been warned. Verily in this indeed are signs, yet most of them do not believe. And verily your Lord, He is the Almighty and the most merciful. The book of the people of Lot, peace be upon him, was closed, so their towns and names have been erased from the face of the earth. So, and gone are they from the memory. So one book was closed on corruption. Thereafter Lot proceeded to Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. He visited him and he related to him the story of his people. But Lot was surprised to know that Prophet Abraham already knew about this story of his people, because initially the angels had told him the reason as to why they had come. So Prophet Lot, after that, he continued to invite people to worship Allah, as did Abraham, peace be upon him, the patient one, who returned to Allah repentantly. Both Abraham and Prophet Lot, peace be upon them, they held firm to their mission. Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh.